Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. And Monday Night Raw tonight, as always, the show sucked. The show was absolutely fucking dreadful. But before I get into talking about Monday Night Raw tonight, if you guys haven't checked out the previous video that I uploaded earlier today, I did a movie hunting video where I went to the Salvation Army, check out the DVDs and VHSs that they got in from the last time that I was there. Picked up 2 DVDs there, so check out my movie hunting video if you guys haven't seen it. But also, before I get into talking about Monday Night Raw, there was news that came out. And possibly you all have seen the news here in the pro wrestling community. And this news broke out when I was doing the movie hunting video. So news was revealed that Drew McIntyre was tested positive for COVID-19. So this news broke out today. He was originally supposed to take on Randy Orton in the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. But Drew McIntyre, he will definitely be back to face Goldberg at the Royal Rumble. So Drew McIntyre is now in quarantine. And he also revealed that he got tested positive for COVID on Monday Night Raw tonight. But there was also other news that broke out. Not only did Drew McIntyre got tested positive, Ringside News reported that someone involved in a storyline on SmackDown also tested positive for COVID, but their name was not revealed. And it looks like not only WWE, but AEW and Impact are affected by COVID. So it says right here, Fightful Select reports that McIntyre is not the only wrestler to test positive for COVID. And it's impacting shows not only from WWE, but AEW and also Impact. So all three companies are being affected by COVID. So yes, that's the news that was released today. So now let's get into Monday Night Raw tonight, this dreadful, horrible Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw opens up tonight with the Game, Triple H. Triple H came out and it was announced by WWE after the news that McIntyre got tested positive for COVID that Triple H is going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight. So Triple H came out. He was wearing his suit. Triple H got on the mic and he ended up saying that he still got it. And that's been a long time since he got to say this. He ended up welcoming everyone to the Thunderdome and welcoming everyone to Monday Night Raw. So he got interrupted by Randy Orton. Orton came out, he was all smiling. Orton got in the ring, and he ended up saying that the Office decided to show up because McIntyre couldn't. He wanted to say that he was supposed to have a pretty big match with McIntyre. Triple H ended up saying that he's aware, and he's aware that Orton knows the match won't be happening. Orton ended up saying that since Triple H got all prettied up and flew down here, he figures Triple H is here to make an official ruling. So Orton ended up asking Triple H if he's going to announce him as number 30 in the Royal Rumble match. or is he going to cut the BS and hand Orton the WWE Championship? Triple H ended up saying that if Orton wants the WWE Championship, he needs to win the Rumble. So Orton ended up going on, wondering why, Triple H was here at Monday Night Raw. And he ended up saying that he should make sure whatever call he makes benefits him. Triple H ended up asking Orton if this is what it's come to between them now. Triple H ended up talking about watching Orton over the past year or so. He ended up saying that he was proud of Orton when he dropped the match on Bray Wyatt, on The Fiend Bray Wyatt, because that was all that stood between him and the WWE Championship. So he ended up saying that there are a few things he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand why Randy Orton kicks legends in the head, like The Big Show, or threaten and humiliate them like he did with Shawn Michaels and Mark Henry and Ric Flair, like what we saw last week during Legends Night. So Triple H ended up saying that when Orton did that, he took the pride away and made him look at Orton differently, thinking that Orton is not a legend and that Orton is nothing but a no-good prick. Randy Orton then ended up saying to Triple H that he can call him what he wants. But the fact is, he's in his prime, at his peak, and he is a legend. So Orton ended up wondering if Triple H still has it in him. He ended up saying, is the cerebral assassin, is the game, is the King of Kings still in there? Orton ended up saying to find that out, he needs Triple H to accept a good old-fashioned fight. So Orton then ended up proposes that him and Triple H go one-on-one. So he ended up asking Triple H if he accepts the challenge. Triple H then ended up asking Orton if he wants to fight him later on in the night. So they end up facing off, Orton and Triple H. Triple H ended up saying no. His answer was no. And that he's not going to give Orton what he wants. And that there's no benefit for him to give Orton what he wants. So Triple H ended up going to leave the ring. And Orton ended up wondering if it's really a case of Triple H not being able to get his balls from Stephanie's purse because, she's not here. She wasn't there. So that kind of pissed off Triple H there. Triple H was shown walking back over to Orton. Triple H then ended up dropping Orton with a right hand, which sent Orton out of the ring. Orton was shown with a smile, like he liked being punched by Triple H. Orton ended up saying that he guesses that means yes. So we saw Triple H end up staring Orton down from the ring. Orton was shown clutching his jaw, and he was smirking at Triple H. And that was how the segment ended. But we had Byron Saxton, Tom Phillips, and Samoa Joe end up pointing out that the challenge was not accepted as of yet. But they said that they will keep an eye on a potential match between Orton and Triple H. So that was how the segment ended, but thought it was a pretty decent segment to open Monday Night Raw. Triple H being out there. So, but another thing, I'm like, we're seeing Orton and Triple H in 2021. I'm like, is this 2021 or is this 2006, 2005? So then we had Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans, which this was absolutely painful to sit through. This match was terrible. before the match got underway, we had both Charlotte and Lacey Evans end up getting interviewed by Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber first interviewed Charlotte. Charlotte ended up going on about how Lacey Evans was being classless and says that she was not the first woman to flirt with her dad, Ric Flair. Charlotte ended up going on and she ended up saying that she doesn't want to talk, but says she is ready to go beat up the classless Lacey Evans. So Charlotte made her way out. Then Lacey Evans ended up getting interviewed by Sarah Schreiber. Lacey ended up saying that Charlotte needs to calm down because Ric Flair wanted to be flirted with last week. Lacey ended up saying that Ric Flair may be Charlotte's father, but he's also a handsome, powerful man's man. And Lacey ended up also saying, what lady wouldn't want a bit of that sugar? So Lacey ended up dedicating this match with Charlotte to Ric Flair. So Lacey Evans was shown turning to the camera, and she ended up saying that this match is for you, Ric Flair. You're my sweetheart. So Lacey Evans was shown blowing a kiss to Ric Flair, and then she headed to the ring for the match. So Monday Night Raw went to commercial, and then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Drew McIntyre, of course, make the message, saying that he was tested positive for COVID-19. He ended up saying that he does not have any symptoms, but he ended up saying that he's proof that anyone can catch the virus, and that we should not take this lightly. Of course, if you don't have symptoms of COVID, you should still be tested to see if you're positive or negative. So McIntyre ended up saying that the only way to stop the spread is to work together, meaning everyone should wear their masks and follow social distancing, as it helps to protect everyone. So McIntyre ended up saying that he will see everyone soon, but in the meantime, stay safe. So there was the message from McIntyre. And then we went back to the Thunderdome, where we saw this dreadful, awful, painful sit-through match between Charlotte and Lacey Evans. And Ric Flair ended up making his way out later on. So Charlotte ended up looking confused, saying, oh, Ric Flair, her father, is at home. Turns out he wasn't. He was at Monday Night Raw tonight. So there was a point in the match where we had Charlotte end up bringing Lacey Evans back into the ring. We had Lacey Evans end up going face first into the turnbuckle. Charlotte ended up delivering a natural selection to Lacey Evans, and she went for the pin. And Ric Flair ended up putting Lacey Evans' leg on the bottom rope, and he alerted the referee that Lacey's leg was on the bottom rope. So Charlotte couldn't believe it, and Ric was denying, funny business, and says he's not staying home. So Charlotte was yelling at her father to stay home. So then Charlotte was shown going to suplex Lacey Evans from the apron. Ric ended up holding Charlotte's leg, causing Lacey Evans to fall on top of Charlotte for the pin. So there you go. Lacey Evans ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Charlotte being furious. She was staring down at her dad. Lacey Evans was joining Ric Flair on the ramp, and they're all smiling. And then we hear Ric Flair say to Charlotte, "Nobody wants you here." And when I heard that, I was laughing. I was like, yeah, that is what I wanted to hear. Saying nobody wants you here. Which, every fan who can't stand Charlotte is probably loving that, what Ric Flair had to say. So, but overall, absolutely dreadful, painful match. So then we had Sarah Schreiber stopping Lacey Evans and Ric Flair, and Schreiber was asking Lacey Evans, what just happened out there? Lacey ended up saying that she thinks she will change at the hotel. So that was basically that. So Rick and Lacey Evans just walked away. So then we had Kayla Braxton with Keith Lee, asking how Keith Lee ended up bouncing back from a tough loss. So Sheamus ended up interrupting. So Sheamus ended up saying that Keith Lee earned Drew McIntyre's respect last week. And if McIntyre respects him, so does Sheamus. So then they got interrupted by The Miz and John Morrison. So what was really funny was Keith Lee and Sheamus referred to Miz and Morrison as dumb and dumber. So Miz and Morrison say some of their resolutions are, the New Year's resolutions are to right wrongs from last year. And that those two of those wrongs are Keith Lee and Sheamus. So Keith Lee ends up accepting the challenge. And Sheamus ended up looking a bit annoyed because it showed some tension between Keith Lee and Sheamus. So Miz and Morrison ended up reminding what happened the last time Sheamus and Keith Lee were on the same team. So that was basically that. Miz and Morrison ended up walking off. And then we had Jeff Hardy versus Jaxson Ryker, which this was a very quick match. Jaxson Ryker ended up winning the match. Ryker ended up rolling up Jeff Hardy for the win. So the referee did not see Jaxson Ryker pull in on Jeff Hardy's tights, which he did, which Jaxson Ryker ended up pulling Jeff Hardy's tights. So there you go. Jaxson Ryker ended up winning the match. Post-match, Jeff Hardy ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up telling Elias to come face him. Jeff Hardy ended up saying it's not the injury, and that Elias is worried that the world will see Jaxson Ryker is better than him. Elias ended up telling Ryker to stay out of the match because he's going to beat Jeff Hardy. So once again, we see Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Great. And Elias, before the match with Jaxson Ryker that Jeff Hardy and Jaxson Ryker had, Elias was carrying his guitar and he was shown wearing a cast on his thumb. Say he suffered a debilitating injury while performing in the studio and that he couldn't wrestle. So that was when Elias ended up announcing that Jeff Hardy will be wrestling Jaxson Ryker. And I'm like, Jaxson Ryker is in the ring, but we see Blake and Cutler still not competing in the ring. They're just being lackeys to Corbin on SmackDown. But then again, we saw Jeff Hardy versus Elias. Did I care? No. Jeff Hardy ended up winning, delivered the Swanton Bomb on Elias. He hit the Twist of Fate to Elias, and then he hit the Swanton Bomb to Elias, and that was that. Jeff Hardy ended up winning. Post-match, Jaxson Ryker ended up checking on Elias. Elias was shown yelling at Ryker, asking why he didn't help out. Ryker ended up reminding Elias how he was told to stay out of the match. So Elias clearly forgot that he told Jaxson Ryker to not get involved in the match. What an idiot. What a fucking idiot. So, yeah, overall, it was a quick match. Did I care? No. So then we had Sheamus and Keith Lee versus The Miz and John Morrison. The match itself, it was just a very meh match. The only point in the match that was pretty funny was Keith Lee ended up delivering a pounce in the corner to Morrison, which caused the top turnbuckle to come to explode, and the ropes end up breaking. So that was the highlight point of the match here. So, but anyways, Sheamus and Keith Lee end up winning. Keith Lee was looking to put Morrison away. Sheamus ended up tagging himself in. Keith Lee looked like he wasn't thrilled about that, but Keith Lee was shown smiling and shaking his head at Sheamus. Sheamus then came in, delivered the bro kick to Morrison, and there you go. Sheamus and Keith Lee ended up winning. Overall, the match itself was just very meh, in my opinion. So then, we saw Sarah Schreiber backstage with Triple H, and she was asking Triple H about Randy Orton's challenge. Triple H ended up going on and says, since Orton can't get it in his head what legends should mean to him, that they paved the way for others. So, he ended up saying that if Orton wants to call him out and see if he still has what it takes, then yes. Triple H ended up saying that he will drop that match on Orton every single time. So Triple H then accepted the challenge, so Triple H got to face Randy Orton in the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. And I'm like, Triple H and Randy Orton main event in Monday Night Raw in 2021. I'm like, is this 2005? So Triple H and Orton main event in Monday Night Raw in 2021. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, Sheamus and Keith Lee were in the ring, and they were arguing with each other. So there was heavy tension between Sheamus and Keith Lee. Referee ended up calling for the match. So we had Sheamus versus Keith Lee. So, but match was okay in my opinion. Keith Lee ended up winning. Keith Lee ended up dropping Sheamus with the spear bomb. So there you go. Keith Lee ended up winning. So post-match, we had Sheamus end up recovering. Sheamus ended up staring Keith Lee down. And he ended up approaching Keith Lee. And they end up hugging it in the middle of the ring. I'm like, you had some tension here. You guys had tension. Now, at the end of the match, you hug it out. I'm like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. You two were arguing, and then in the end, oh yeah, we're just gonna hug it out and pretend that this tension that we had did not happen. Ridiculous. So then we got another pre-recorded message from McIntyre. McIntyre ended up saying that Goldberg really interrupted him last week before he got the chance to thank the legends for watching him. McIntyre ended up going on and he ended up saying that he wants to like and respect Goldberg. But Goldberg ended up letting him down and let his own legacy down. McIntyre ended up saying that Goldberg knows nothing about being WWE champion, as it's the most lucrative title and has eluded him for his entire career. He ended up saying that Goldberg challenging him is like challenging himself in his prime. McIntyre ended up saying that Goldberg then put his hands on him and needs a lesson in respect. So McIntyre ended up accepting the challenge and says, at the Royal Rumble, Goldberg, you're next. So that was that. So there you go. McIntyre's still going to be taking on Goldberg at the Rumble. So there you go. Then we had Xavier Woods versus T-Bar, T-Balls. Of course, T-Bar came out along with Retribution with Mustafa Ali, Mace, Slapjack, and Reckoning, aka Mia Yim. So, Tom Phillips on commentary noted that Kofi Kingston had a broken jaw and that he wasn't on Monday Night Raw. So, we had Xavier Woods and T-Bar go at it. T-Bar ended up locking up on Xavier Woods and took control at the start of the match. So we had T-Bar end up dropping Xavier Woods with a shoulder. Mustafa Ali was yelling at Xavier Woods from ringside. So we had, later on, T-Bar ended up dropping Xavier Woods with a right hand. He ended up grounding Xavier Woods with a knee to the back. And at the end of the match, we had T-Bar end up yanking Xavier Woods into the top rope. And T-Bar ended up bringing Xavier Woods back into the ring, dropped him with a knee. And there you go. T-Bar ended up winning the match. T-Bar, T-Balls, whatever you want to call him. So post-match, Retribution was in the ring. And they stood with T-Bar. So that was that. Then we had Matt Riddle versus Bobby Lashley. United States Championship on the line. I'm like, we have to see this match again after, what happened last week, where Matt Riddle ended up getting the win over Bobby Lashley because the referee did not see Matt Riddle tap out to the Hurt Lock last week. So the match, it was just meh, in my opinion. Bobby Lashley won the match. Hurt Lock on Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle ended up tapping out, which the referee ended up seeing this time. So Bobby Lashley wins, still retains the United States Championship. And then post-match, we had Matt Riddle on the mic. He kept saying maybe he couldn't beat Lashley, but he can beat MVP. So MVP was like, oh, you want to face me? So MVP took off his jacket, started talking some trash to Matt Riddle on his way down to the ring. And I'm like, Matt Riddle, you just got beat up by Bobby Lashley. Are you physically capable to compete against MVP? So we had the match, MVP versus Matt Riddle. MVP was still wearing his clothes, his street clothes. He was bullying Matt Riddle around, grabbing Matt Riddle by his face, decking Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle end up getting decked by MVP. MVP ended up standing over Matt Riddle, started dancing around him. And MVP then did ballin' with the elbow to Matt Riddle. So MVP went for the cover. Matt Riddle ended up kicking out at 2, which MVP looked surprised at. And the match ended in a disqualification because Lashley ended up hitting the spear out of nowhere to Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle ended up winning by disqualification. Post-match, Lashley ended up mounting Riddle, worked on Matt Riddle. MVP and Bobby Lashley ended up taking turns, beating down on Matt Riddle, laying him out. And we had MVP and Bobby Lashley going to leave the ring. MVP then turned around and he ended up delivering a punt kick to Matt Riddle's ribs. And Matt Riddle was just yelling out in pain. And so that was that. And then we had Adam Pearce, who is the number 1 contender to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble, which we all know he's going to give his spot up. Kevin Owens is going to come back and he's going to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. We all know what's going to happen. So Pearce was backstage with AJ Styles. Styles was wondering who can toss him from the Royal Rumble match. Styles says that if Pearce gets lucky enough, he can beat Roman for the title and then defend against Styles at WrestleMania. So Drew Gulak ended up walking up and he announced his spot for the Royal Rumble. Pierce ended up telling Gulak to hold on because there are a limited number of spots. So Gulak ended up pointing out how Styles was allowed to declare his spot. Styles ended up saying that's because he's a two-time WWE champion. So Gulak is glad that he asked because he bought a flash drive to explain his victories. But unfortunately, we didn't get another PowerPoint presentation. When was the last time that Drew Gulak did a PowerPoint presentation? Which I'm glad they got rid of that. So Pierce ended up saying that Gulak can have a spot in the Royal Rumble if he can beat Styles. So Omos appeared and ended up staring Gulak down. So Styles was smiling as Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, we had Styles versus Drew Gulak. Quick match. We had Styles and Gulak. They ended up doing a drop kick at the same time. Styles ended up taking control. Gulak ended up turning around and slammed Styles and went for the cover. Styles ended up kicking out of 2. Gulak did a suplex with the bridge for a 2 count. So we had Styles end up running into a boot. He ended up catching it and then flipped Gulak over the top rope out to the floor. And Omos ended up approaching Gulak. Gulak was face down on the floor. Gulak then sees Omos's foot, and he ended up looking terrified. Styles ended up coming out and brought Gulak back into the ring. Styles then delivered the phenomenal forearm and went for the cover on Gulak. And there you go, Styles ended up winning the match. Moving on. Triple H was backstage. He was warming up. Keith Lee ended up approaching him, saying that he needs to talk with Triple H. And he went on about how dangerous Randy Orton is. Keith Lee ended up saying that ever since he came to WWE, Triple H has always been there for him. So maybe it's time he's there for Triple H. Keith Lee ended up saying that Triple H does not have to do this, and that he's already 2 matches in and doesn't mind doing a 3rd. Keith Lee ended up telling Triple H to let him get his hands on Orton. So Triple H ended up saying that he appreciates that and that he does have to do this. Triple H ended up saying to Keith Lee that he made this mess and that he has to clean it up. So Triple H ended up saying to Keith Lee that he's got this. So Keith Lee ended up handing Triple H his leather jacket and says, it's time to put the game on. So that was basically that. Keith Lee should have asked Triple H, oh, can I come back down to NXT? That's what Keith Lee should have said to Triple H. Instead of saying, oh yeah, let me have Orton tonight. That's what Keith Lee should have said to Triple H. Can I come back to NXT? So then we had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Absolutely fucking boring. So Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke end up doing a pre-recorded promo. So they declared their spots in the Women's Royal Rumble. And I'm like, okay. So you have Daniel Bryan, Styles. They all said they're declaring their spot in the Rumble. Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke end up saying that they're declaring their spot in the Women's Rumble. I'm like, all them declare their spots in the Royal Rumble. But Drew Gulak has to compete to earn a spot in the Rumble? Really? Really? That's WWE creative for you. But overall, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Match was garbage. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler end up winning, where Nia Jax at the end was going to the second turnbuckle to deliver a splash on Mandy Rose, but Shayna Baszler ended up quickly tagging in, which Nia Jax did not like that. So Shayna Baszler came in and applied the Karafuda clutch to Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose ended up tapping out. So that was that. Moving on. Main event. Triple H versus Randy Orton. Of course, Triple H ended up coming out. This was his first match since July of 2019. Of course, he comes out, does his signature entrance, wearing the leather jacket with the water, spin the water. So just classic Triple H there. So then Randy Orton ended up coming out. Orton then slowly marched to the ring. Him and Triple H were staring each other down. Orton was shown taunting Triple H from ringside. And Orton was teasing a rush into the ring to attack Triple H, but Orton finally ran in. Triple H ended up dropping him with a right hand, which sent Orton back to the ramp. Orton ended up running back in, and they end up going at it. Orton ended up beating Triple H into the corner, took control. Triple H ended up turning around and started unloading on Orton in the corner. Orton then delivered an uppercut, which Orton ended up beating Triple H back out to the floor. And it was shown Orton had blood coming down the side of his face. Triple H ended up launching Orton into the barricade. And Orton went face first into the ring steps. Orton then delivered a thumb to the eye to Triple H. So Triple H then ended up rolling Orton back to the ring. And he went under the ring, Triple H. And he grabbed, of course, the sledgehammer. So Triple H was shown walking back up the steps. And he ended up stopping as the lights started to go down. And it looked like the Fiend was going to be there. It looked like the Bray Wyatt might have been there. Orton then realized what was happening as more lights started to go down. Triple H then ended up entering the ring, started staring Orton down. Triple H then raised his sledgehammer, and it was shown on fire. The sledgehammer was on fire. So both Orton and Triple H were shocked. So the lights go all the way down, and the sledgehammer flame was shining. So we had the pink and red lights come back up. Orton ended up looking around, and Triple H was gone. So then we had the Firefly Funhouse theme play, and it was some sort of distorted remix of the Firefly Funhouse, which sounded a little bit creepy. So Orton ended up turning around, and Alexa Bliss was standing in the corner, and she was staring at him. Bliss ended up staring Orton down, and Alexa Bliss ended up suddenly shooting a fireball at Randy Orton's face. So Orton ended up dropping to the mat. He was yelling in pain. Orton tried to get back to his feet, but he was stumbling around. He was falling into the ropes. So he was shown clutching his face in pain. And that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. But I thought this was cool. I thought the fireball, of course it was a special effect fireball. It kind of reminded me of the match at King of the Ring 1993, which was between Yokozuna and Hulk Hogan, where you had this guy disguise himself as a camera guy, and when he took the picture of Hulk Hogan, fire ended up going in Hogan's face. it was like a fireball in Hogan's face, and that led to Yokozuna end up winning that match. It kind of reminded me of that. So, but only it wasn't, a camera. It was, Alexa Bliss just launching a special effect fireball at Randy Orton. So, but I thought this was cool, in my opinion. But overall, Monday Night Raw, the show sucks. The show sucks as always. So, but anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this. Definitely give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out my movie hunting video, which was a previous video if you guys haven't seen it. So yeah, so anyways, that's it for this video, and I'll see you all later.